Mary Bennett, the head of the Canadian Unitarian Council. Can't remember her exact title. I think it was executive director or something like that. The Unitarian, the Canadian Unitarian Council. As I said, in 2003, December of 2003, I guess as a kind of Christmas present to Unitarian Universalists, of our own initiative, with, as I understand it, very little participation or consultation with anyone else, pretty well unilaterally decided that the Unitarian Universalists would now henceforth be identified with an asterisk, or I should say an asterisk, between the two U's of Unitarian Universalism. I've had quite a bit of fun with that. But anyway, getting back to the use of the sucks word, as a rule, I try to be civil, keep things, fairly straight. When I'm really trying to deal with people, I try to be straight about it. But the Unitarian Universalist Association and the Unitarian Church of Montreal and numerous other Unitarian Universalists have repeatedly insisted that it's perfectly acceptable for Unitarian Universalist clergy to be extremely rude, knowingly and willfully offensive, to say nothing of intolerant and bigoted, which is another thing that both the Unitarian Church of Montreal and the Unitarian Universalist Association have allowed Unitarian Universalist clergy to be. So I do allow myself to be in-your-face rude on my picket signs, and in some of my blog posts, some of my emails, to try and actually, persuade Unitarian Universalists, well, it's really not such a good idea to allow your clergy to be in-your-face rude. If you allow your clergy to dish out, insults and abuse and even slander and libel, well then, if you think that's acceptable, then to be fair, you have to allow people to be extremely rude with you. And while I do my very, very best to stick to the truth and therefore avoid any actual slander or libel, I long ago told Unitarian Universalists that I would respond to their slanderous and libelous lies by telling, unpleasant truths about them, and that's what I've been doing for years. So that's it. The reason that suck word is there is because the Unitarian Universalist Association has totally ignored the formal complaint that I brought against Reverend Cynthia P. Kane for describing Republicans as really mean people who do suck in a blog post. And she went on to be quite rude and insulting about, individual Republican politicians, such as Mitt Romney and Sarah Palin and so on. And, I don't have a problem with people, in general, criticizing, Sarah Palin or Mitt Romney or any other politician. I don't even have a problem with people being somewhat rude in doing so in general terms. But I do believe that it is unbecoming of a minister, to be, in your face rude, slanderous, libelous, otherwise verbally and psychologically abusive. If Reverend Cynthia P. Kane had been an ordinary run-of-the-mill American citizen, with First Amendment rights, blogging, what she thought about Republicans, I wouldn't have filed a complaint against her. I might have, said a thing or two in comments on the blog, but I would never have brought any kind of complaint. But Reverend Cynthia P. Kane is a Unitarian Universalist minister. Ministers are supposed to model good behavior. And she did the exact opposite, along with Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein, who's notorious for her insulting and defamatory blog posts and attacks on people. I mean, it is a well-known fact that Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein has posted incredibly obscene material, sadistic material to the internet, and being allowed to do so by the UUA. The UUA basically said that this was outside of her role as a minister. In other words, Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein, suddenly is no longer a minister when she's blogging on her Peace Bang blog, even though she makes it clear that she considers her Peace Bang blog to be an extension of her ministry. So even though Peace Bang, that is Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein, explicitly makes it clear that her Peace Bang blogs, to say nothing of her Twitter account and so on, are extensions of her Unitarian Universalist ministry, nonetheless, the Unitarian Universalist Association rules that this is outside of her role as a minister. Just as basically so they can let her get away with it. They don't want to discipline their clergy at all, really. I mean, the rare times that Unitarian Universalist ministers are ever disciplined for anything is if they do something of a criminal nature from the look of things. If it's not criminal, they basically do nothing to hold the minister responsible. And even when it is criminal, it might take months before they finally get around to disciplining the minister. And I should say that even as recently as the mid-2000s, which isn't that long ago, it looks like the UUA has actually protected Unitarian Universalist ministers from facing accountability for criminal acts. So, on that note, I think we will wrap this up because the battery's down to 1%. And we're past 20 minutes into the second hour of protesting. So we've been protesting for almost an hour and a half. So yeah, I think I'm going to call it quits. And so I got a bit off track. This is a monologue. I do get distracted by various things. But essentially, I think we've covered a fair bit of territory today. And the main thing, as far as I'm concerned, is John Ender, the president of the church, actually finally admitting he's wrong about something. John admitted that he was wrong about how he has characterized my claims regarding the total eclipse of the sun being a kind of a sign of God. Up until now, he has tried to pretend that I'm claiming that the sun itself is the actual eye of God. And I've done no such thing. So after I explained things to John, which I really shouldn't have to do, because if the guy practiced the fourth principle of Unitarian Universalism, i.e. a free and genuinely responsible search for truth and meaning, he never would have got it into his head that I was claiming that the sun was the actual eye of God. I've never done any such thing. But it's nice to know that, the better part of 20 years later, John Ender finally admits he's wrong. And I think he even said he was sorry. I think he even sort of gave me a bit of a lame apology there. After 20 years of misrepresenting what I'm claiming to the public, because he has publicly made this claim, John finally admits that he's wrong. So I made it clear to John that, John, you're wrong about a lot of other stuff too. And it would be a good idea, you know, if you want to live in harmony, John, if you want to vivre ensemble with me, to say nothing of other people, I think it's high time that you and other members of the Unitarian Church of Montreal start admitting to all the other things that you're wrong about. The sooner you members of the Unitarian Church of Montreal start acknowledging that you are wrong about this, that, and the other thing, the sooner I won't feel the need to protest, because you will have admitted that you're wrong, which is, you know, one of the #1 reasons I'm protesting, is because you refuse to admit you're wrong about things. So when you admit to the other things that you're clearly and unequivocally wrong about, including being wrong about thinking that you have, you know, that it's got nothing to do with you, that the Unitarian Universalist Association is accusing me of blasphemous libel in an effort to cover up and hide pedophilia and rape committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers, because you are Unitarian Universalists. This is a shameful perversion of justice on the part of the Unitarian Universalist Association. So you should be concerned about that, and you should be especially concerned about the fact that the UUA is not only trying to cover up and hide clergy sexual misconduct, even after Unitarian Universalist ministers have been convicted of clergy sexual misconduct, and I should add that that's not the only way that they're doing so, but you should be especially concerned that as part of that UUA cover-up and denial of clergy sexual misconduct, the UUA would actually go so far as to try to misuse Canada's blasphemy law in legal bullying that's clearly intended to intimidate me into removing, good day, yeah, go ahead, remove blog posts about Unitarian Universalists who are in fact guilty of engaging in what Stikeman Elliott Barristers and Solicitors litigation lawyer, Maitre Marc-André Coulombe, describes as such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. The sooner the Unitarian Church of Montreal realizes that as Canadian Unitarians, they have a moral responsibility